package reveal is all books from Peachtree Publishing. And I'm going to be blogging on Peachtree for Coleman's birthday. And so this is the package that they sent me. And I think I have read some of these books already, which is great. Oh, so King and Kayla. This is a series. I really like it. It's kind of a, I would say, like easy reader, early chapter book. And it's about King, which is a dog, golden retriever, and Kayla. And I think they're also like little mysteries. Yeah. Just, you know, really sweet, very engaging. Yeah, I like that a lot. Nina Soni, former best friend, also a series. I read the first. Oh, did I read this one? Let me think. Oh yeah, I did read this one. So this is, she's Indian American, and she's having some issues with her best friend, who's a boy, who's like also a family friend, and she's also working on a rock project. So I think she's really into rocks. And anyway, it's sort of a, I would say, like a chapter book. Yeah, I mean, it hits all the high notes of conflict that's appropriate for this age, and, you know, sort of a sweetness to it as well. And I really like the diversity in sort of just learning about South Asian culture. Oh, this was one of my favorite books, Going Down Home with Daddy. And oh, that's right, it won a Caldecott Honor by Kelly Starling Lyons, illustrated by Daniel Minter. And sort of the story of what I would imagine would be Kelly's, you know, childhood trips down to visit her grandparents in the South, and what that meant in terms of her grandparents owned their own farm, and, you know, just sort of a story of the bonds of family and multi-generational family. And also, you know, with a nod to African American history, like, you know, what it meant to own land and how difficult it was, and the pride in, you know, sort of being self-sufficient and just being a strong black family. Yeah, definitely worthy of its Caldecott honor. Lali's Feather by Farhana Zia, illustrated by Stephanie Fizer Coleman. You know what, I didn't do the authors and illustrators. Let me do that. Nina Soni is written by Sheth, illustrated by Jenn Kocsmiersky. And King and Kayla, the series, is written by Dori Hillestad Butler and illustrated by Nancy Meyers. Okay, so back to Lali's Feather. I don't know if I've read this one. And so she finds a feather. Oh, I think I have it. She finds a feather and wants to return the feather, and just goes around trying to ask the animals if it's their feather. And, you know, each time she finds a use for the feather. So, yeah, just kind of a sweet little adventure with a feather with this girl who is, I believe, South Asian, like Indian. Feast of Peas by Kocsmiersky, and also Kocsmiersky, also the author of Nina Soni, and illustrated by Jeffrey Ebbeler. And this is it's sort of like a modern folk tale. I'm not sure if I've read it, so let's just take a look. Yeah, no, I don't think I have read it. So it's, this is Jiva, who works in the garden, and every time he goes to pick his delicious peas, he finds that they're gone. And so it's this mystery of what's happening to his peas. I mean, I think all his stuff is delicious, but like, who is stealing his peas? So that is the story. And looks like he finally does get peace. So I'm not quite sure what he does to catch the pea thief. It looked supernatural, or why they were stealing his peas. But looks like the peas are, finally in the right hands. And the last book is William Still and His Freedom Stories, The Father of the Underground Railroad by Don Tate. Yeah, Don Tate is like one of my favorite author illustrators. I really feel like he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. So I'm going to go on a personal mission to promote Don Tate in 2021. And I don't know this book. And I also don't know William Still. So I think I love reading about hidden figures in history. And he looks like a really important one. And of course, anyone related to the Underground Railroad would be top secret, because I'm sure they were, a target, and even, past the time when secrecy was no longer necessary. Maybe it was just sort of something that, no one, like, people were used to not talking about. So even to find him and to get his freedom stories is sort of an amazing feat. And so this story begins in the 1700s. And it could be the story of why this person originally runs away, or escapes from enslavement, but then uses the skills to perhaps help others. I'm not sure, but looks like an important story for Black History Month, and just any kind of enslavement unit. So I'm going to add this. I have like a 5th grade unit that my kids did in elementary school on enslavement, so I'll definitely add it to that list. But yeah, it looks great. And the illustrations also really add an element of making the story feel personal and relatable. The way he draws people, I think, really makes you feel like you can relate to them, like you know who they are. And so, here are some of the stories. So Henry Box Brown, Harriet Tubman, Ellen and William Craft. And then, interesting thing actually is where I live in Newton, Massachusetts. So I live about 7 miles outside of Boston. And we were part of the Underground Railroad, different homes in the area. And our historic museum, the Newton Historic Museum, was one of the stops for the Underground Railroad. And part of the museum, they show you the basement, where there's sort of like it's not deep like a well, but it's a little bit more shallow than a well. But that's where they showed where they would hide the people. But I know there's others. I'm just going to pan to my windows in my neighborhood, like literally down the street, that were also reported to be other stops in the Underground Railroad. And so it must have been at the time when they changed the law and the Northeast was no longer, a safe space, and they had to get the refugees to Canada. That would make more sense. And so, like, people in my area then, because we're a pretty liberal area, must have been for hundreds of years, would have helped protect them and then get them on the railroad to safety and freedom. So anyway, so that is